Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you will hit you deeper than you expect. Most men never realize the moment a woman stops being emotionally loyal until it's already too late. And right now, you might be missing signs that are happening right in front of you. If you stay with me until the end of this video, I'm going to reveal something most men never discover about female psychology, something that can protect your heart, your time, and your future. And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe and hit the like button, because what you learn today may change the way you see women forever. Let me start by asking you a question that might make you uncomfortable. Have you ever felt a shift in a woman's presence, even though she never said a single word? That quiet tension in the air, that strange distance, that feeling that something is off, but you can't logically explain it. Men feel it in their gut first, long before their mind figures it out. But because most men are conditioned to doubt themselves, they brush it off. They rationalize. They explain away the truth. And that's exactly where emotional disloyalty grows. In the space where denial lives. A woman doesn't become emotionally detached all at once. She shifts in tiny ways, subtle ways, ways that are easy to miss if you're not trained to see them. Women communicate loyalty not just through actions, but through energy, attention, and emotional consistency. When those things change, her inner world is changing too. And many men mistake this shift as stress, exhaustion, overthinking, or just a bad mood. But a woman who is emotionally connected to a man instinctively anchors herself to him. When she starts drifting, there is always a reason, and her behavior reveals it long before her words ever do. The first hidden sign appears in how she responds to your presence, not what she says, not how long she texts, but how she feels around you. A loyal woman leans in, emotionally, mentally, and energetically. She's present, engaged, attentive. You feel welcomed into her world. But when that energy drops, when she suddenly becomes neutral, cold, or strangely indifferent, that's not random. Women don't withdraw without a psychological shift behind it. They drift emotionally before they drift physically. And here's something most men never understand. Emotional distance isn't created by boredom. It isn't created by routine. It isn't created by stress. Emotional distance emerges when her mind begins redirecting its emotional investment somewhere else, toward a fantasy, a feeling, a validation source, or in some cases, another person. It doesn't even have to be romantic. Sometimes it's attention, sometimes it's admiration, sometimes it's the thrill of something new. But when she starts placing emotional energy somewhere other than you, the bond weakens silently. You deserve to know these signs. You deserve to understand what's happening long before you get blindsided. And if you've ever felt like you were giving everything while she slowly started giving less, trust me, there's a reason. That's what we're going to break down today, step by step, truth by truth, so you can finally see the patterns that have been hidden from you your entire life. Because once you understand what emotional loyalty actually looks like and how it fades, you'll never be confused by a woman's shift again. Before a woman ever becomes openly distant, before she gives shorter answers, before she needs space, something far more subtle happens first. Her emotional availability begins to fluctuate, not disappear. Fluctuate. This is one of the most powerful and least understood signs that her loyalty is drifting. And the reason most men miss it is because it doesn't look like withdrawal. It looks like inconsistency. A woman who is emotionally loyal will respond to you with a rhythm, steady, predictable, emotionally anchored. You feel her presence even when she's busy, even when she's tired, even when she's stressed. Loyalty shows itself as stability, but when her emotional loyalty starts cracking, she becomes unpredictable in a way that leaves you confused. One day she's deeply warm, affectionate, drawn to you, and the next day she feels strangely disconnected, almost as if she's mentally somewhere else. Men tend to blame themselves for this shift. They ask, did I do something wrong? Did I upset her? Did I say the wrong thing? No. What you're witnessing is her emotional investment moving back and forth between you and something else, competing for her inner attention. She won't tell you this. She might not even fully understand it herself. But her subconscious behavior will reveal it long before her conscious mind does. When a woman is emotionally locked into a man, she seeks connection with him effortlessly. Eye contact, touch, playful teasing, curious questions, small moments of emotional intimacy. These aren't behaviors, their instincts. But once another emotional influence enters her mental world, even something small, those instincts no longer fire the same way. You'll feel it before you see it. You'll notice moments where you have to pull more from her, moments where her warmth requires effort instead of flow. This inconsistency is one of the most dangerous psychological signs because it creates a false sense of hope. On the days she's warm, you think everything is fine. On the days she's cold, you tell yourself she's just overwhelmed. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin adjusting your behavior to keep the warm days coming back. You start working harder for her attention. You become more patient, more forgiving, more understanding. But she isn't adjusting for you in the same way. Her emotional reality is shifting, not yours, and most men fall into the trap of compensating instead of observing. One thing you must understand as a man, a woman's inconsistency is never accidental. When her emotional loyalty is intact, she protects the bond. When it is fading, she protects her feelings. And she will do this without ever announcing it. Her texts become slightly shorter. Her tone becomes slightly flatter. She laughs less at your jokes. She looks at her phone more often. She becomes harder to excite, harder to impress, harder to emotionally open. Not because she's losing interest in you, but because something else is gaining interest inside her. This is the psychological moment where men either take control or lose themselves. You are not meant to chase her energy. You're meant to recognize the shift so you don't get dragged into emotional confusion. Because once a woman begins emotionally rationing her connection, the next signs become far more visible and far more painful for a man who isn't prepared to see them. There comes a moment, silent, subtle, and almost invisible, when a woman stops sharing her inner world with you. Not completely, not abruptly, but gradually. This is one of the clearest signs that her emotional loyalty is drifting, and yet it's the one men almost never catch because it hides behind something that seems innocent, reduced emotional openness. A woman doesn't pull away by shutting you out. She pulls away by giving you less of the parts of herself she used to give freely. Think about that for a moment. When a woman feels emotionally loyal to you, you are her safe space. She brings you her frustrations, her dreams, her insecurities, her joys. She tells you about her day, not because it's interesting, but because she wants you inside her emotional world. She asks for your advice because she values your guidance. She shares her worries because she trusts your presence. That's emotional loyalty in action. But when her emotional loyalty drifts, the first thing she protects is her internal life. It starts small. She used to give you long, detailed answers about her day. Now she gives you a short version. She used to tell you what she's feeling. Now she just says, it's nothing. She used to confide in you. Now she keeps things to herself. Not because she doesn't trust you anymore, but because her emotional anchor is moving. She's mentally withdrawing in ways you can sense but can't prove. And this, right here, is the beginning of a psychological separation she may not even be fully aware she's creating. A woman who stops sharing is a woman who is emotionally protecting herself from getting closer. This is something most men never understand. Women don't leave emotionally all at once. They reduce access, they reduce transparency, they reduce emotional visibility. And once she starts locking parts of herself away, you're no longer walking beside her. You're watching her drift toward a version of herself you can't reach. You'll notice she avoids deeper conversations. She changes the subject when you ask how she feels. She smiles, but the smile feels thinner. She tells you, don't worry about it when something is clearly bothering her. She becomes harder to read, harder to reassure, harder to truly connect with. Not because she's trying to hurt you, but because she's trying to distance herself from needing you. And here's the truth. No one tells men. Once a woman stops sharing her emotional truth with you, she's sharing it somewhere. Maybe with a friend, maybe with a coworker, maybe with an online distraction, maybe with herself in ways that exclude you. But emotional energy never disappears. It redirects. When a woman feels deeply connected to a man, she wants him to understand her. When she begins disconnecting, she wants freedom from that understanding. She stops letting you into her mind because her mind is beginning to move without you. The worst part is, she won't argue, she won't fight, she won't make a scene. Emotional distance rarely looks like conflict. It looks like calmness, a quiet, heavy, unsettling calmness that leaves you wondering what happened to the version of her who used to be so open, so expressive, so intertwined with your emotional world. And that's the danger. Men panic when a woman is angry, but they should pay more attention when she becomes peaceful. Because emotional silence is not peace, it's departure. There is a shift in a woman that every man feels, but almost no man understands. The moment when her attention stops naturally gravitating toward you. Not her body, not her time, her attention. And if you've never paid close attention to this shift before, you're about to see something you can never unsee again. Attention is the currency of emotional loyalty. A woman who is connected to you will instinctively look for you in the room. She'll notice the smallest changes in your tone, your mood, your energy. She'll be subtly tuned into you without forcing it. When you speak, she listens. When you share something meaningful, she reacts. When you're excited about something, she feels it. This isn't effort. This is instinctive investment. But when her emotional loyalty starts moving, even slightly, her attention fragments. It becomes divided in ways she doesn't verbalize, but you can feel it like a shadow moving across her presence. She becomes mentally somewhere else, even when she's sitting right beside you. You talk, and she listens, but the depth of her listening changes. You share something important, and she responds, but without the emotional resonance she used to give. Her eyes wander more, she scrolls more, she remembers fewer small details, she reacts slower, she laughs less easily. She stops initiating conversations that used to flow effortlessly between you. And here's the part that hits hardest. She's not doing any of this to hurt you. She's doing it because her emotional system is reorganizing itself, and you're no longer at the center of it the way you used to be. A woman who is emotionally loyal invests her mental energy in you. A woman who is drifting invests it elsewhere, into her own thoughts, her own anxieties, her ambitions, her fantasies, or yes, sometimes into the presence of another person who stimulates her emotionally in a way she can't explain to you. You'll see it in the way she gives you only half of her mind. You'll feel it in the pauses between her responses. You'll notice it when she rarely initiates meaningful conversations anymore, when she stops asking about your day with genuine curiosity, when she no longer notices your emotional shifts the way she once did, when she doesn't seek your perspective, your guidance, your validation with the same hunger. Men confuse this with she's just busy or she's tired. But a woman's energy doesn't change like this for no reason. Women are incredibly consistent when they're emotionally invested. They are emotionally intuitive creatures. If they care, they show it. If they're connected, they feel it. When they begin to drift, the emotional signal becomes faint, like a radio station getting farther and farther away. And if you're not careful, you'll start chasing her attention without even realizing you're doing it. You'll talk more just to get a reaction. You'll try harder to impress her. You'll feel a strange pressure in your chest because you know something is shifting, even though she insists everything is fine. But men need to understand this. Attention doesn't fade without a cause. Women don't become mentally distant without an emotional shift beneath the surface. When a woman's attention moves away from you, her loyalty is following it. There is a very specific moment. Every man feels it, but almost no man knows how to interpret it. The moment when a woman stops valuing your emotional impact on her. Not because she dislikes you, not because she's angry, but because your presence no longer shapes her inner world the way it used to. This is one of the deepest signs of shifting emotional loyalty, and it's the one that blindsides men the hardest because it hides behind emotional neutrality. A woman who is emotionally loyal feels your influence. Your words matter, your tone matters, your disappointment matters, your approval matters. She responds to you not out of fear, not out of obligation, but because her heart is wired into yours. When she's loyal, you can calm her, you can reach her, you can ground her. You matter to her emotionally in a way nobody else does. But when that connection weakens, there's a subtle but chilling shift. Your emotional influence stops penetrating her. You express concern. She shrugs it off. You try to comfort her. She doesn't soften the way she used to. You point out something that bothers you. She becomes indifferent instead of attentive. You share something personal. She doesn't respond with the same depth or care. You pull back, she doesn't chase. You open up, she doesn't meet you in the middle. It's not hostility, it's not conflict, it's detachment. And detachment is far more dangerous than tension ever will be. This is when a woman stops being shaped by your emotions, thoughts, and presence. You no longer inspire her. You no longer calm her storms. You no longer trigger her desire to fix things, to understand, to reconnect. And it's because her emotional system isn't anchored in you anymore. She may still like you. She may still speak kindly. She may still even love you in a distant way. But the emotional cord between you is no longer feeding her the way it once did. And here's the psychological truth men never hear. When a woman stops being emotionally affected, it means she is emotionally preparing for a life without you, consciously or subconsciously. She is detaching without announcing it. She is creating emotional self-sufficiency. She is reducing the weight you hold in her internal world. She is subconsciously rehearsing independence. And when a woman stops reacting to you emotionally, it is almost always because she is reacting emotionally to something else. Another interest, another possibility, another emotional source, or her own internal shift towards something beyond the relationship. Most men misread this moment completely. They try to argue with her calmness. They try to reignite passion with logic. They try to communicate harder, talk longer, explain deeper. But you cannot talk someone back into emotional loyalty. You cannot convince a woman to feel what she no longer feels naturally. The more you push, the more she withdraws. The more you try to reopen her heart, the more she protects it. Not because she doesn't care about you, but because she no longer feels the emotional alignment she once did. And this is where the pain hits. Men try to bring back the woman she used to be without realizing that version of her only existed because she deeply valued their emotional presence. Once that value fades, she transforms. And no strategy, no effort, no reassurance can reverse that shift unless it comes from her. This emotional neutrality is not the end, but it is the warning. Because the final signs, the ones few men ever catch, reveal the truth with painful clarity. There's a final stage, a moment where everything becomes undeniable, even if she never says a single word. It's the stage where her behavior stops matching the bond you thought you had. And this is where the truth becomes clearest, not because she admits anything, but because her actions speak with a cold, quiet honesty that no explanation can hide. When a woman's emotional loyalty is slipping, she doesn't erupt, she doesn't confess. She doesn't break down, she simply stops choosing you in the ways she used to. It starts with small decisions, tiny fractures in the relationship that most men overlook because they seem harmless on the surface. She begins prioritizing other things over time with you. She becomes more protective of her privacy. She doesn't involve you in her plans the way she used to. She doesn't check in with you emotionally anymore. She doesn't ask, "What do you think?" or "How do you feel about this?" because your emotional landscape is no longer tied to hers. The most painful sign is this: she stops nurturing the connection. A loyal woman waters the relationship without you asking. She notices when something feels off and tries to fix it. She shows up emotionally, even when it's inconvenient. But when her loyalty shifts, she no longer invests in repair. She stops smoothing the rough edges. She becomes strangely comfortable with distance. Silence doesn't bother her the way it bothers you. Emotional gaps don't trigger her anxiety anymore. She begins to accept, even embrace, the separation. And here's a truth most men never want to hear. Women don't drift because of one mistake you made. They drift because of 1,000 moments where their heart slowly unhooks itself from yours, until one day she realizes she doesn't feel the same pull she once did. You'll notice she becomes more independent, but not the healthy kind. This independence feels like she's slowly removing your influence from her life. She makes decisions without telling you. She doesn't ask your perspective. She forms emotional habits that don't include you anymore. Her world continues moving forward, with or without you. Eventually, the emotional gap becomes so wide that you feel like a guest in her life instead of a partner in it. And that feeling, you know exactly what I'm talking about, is your subconscious telling you the truth long before she ever will. She's no longer connected to you in the way you once believed. But here's the part every man must internalize. Her emotional loyalty slipping is not the moment you lose everything. It's the moment you're supposed to wake up. Not to chase her, not to beg, not to bargain, but to reclaim your center, your clarity, your strength. Because when a man allows his identity to revolve around a woman who's drifting away, he collapses. But when he recognizes the signs early, he regains the one thing that protects him from heartbreak: emotional awareness. Your value does not decrease because her loyalty shifted. Your worth does not disappear because her emotional focus moved. Her inner world changing is not a reflection of your failure. It's a reflection of her evolving psychology, her choices, and the emotional forces influencing her beneath the surface. As a man, your power lies in seeing clearly. Your peace lies in detaching from what no longer feeds your soul. And your growth begins the moment you realize that emotional loyalty is not something you earn. It's something you align with. When a woman is truly connected to you, you will feel it effortlessly. When she's drifting, you will feel that too. If you want more psychological truth, if you want more clarity, more strength, and more insight into the hidden world of female behavior, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. Because the next thing I reveal might just change how you see women and yourself for the rest of your life.